Before we something just happened in the back. Before we get into it, I wanted to just say that we had some technical difficulties at the beginning of this episode with like delay and internet connection. So we kind of start after the intro we usually start with, but I'll take this time to just say this week we had the Oscar experts on, or the Oscar expert as they want to be known as, and yeah, it's a good one. You guys should listen to it. Well, you already are. Okay, enjoy it. Good to have you guys here. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I wanted to ask, like, just right off the bat, kind of like a little bit about you guys' channel / like how you guys got started. Because I'm like half interested about the videos and half about just like when you started caring so much about the Oscars, because it took me up until like 3 years ago to like really start feeling invested and pay attention to like other award shows and etc. So I'm just curious, like, when you guys started like getting into it.
We started getting into movies in like 2009,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a year or two after, it wasn't like we started kind of caring about the Oscars. Like, we started watching some of the movies that were getting nominated, like not even necessarily on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember liking The Hurt Locker and District 9 and a lot of the movies from that year. So I think we did watch the Oscars that year, like the first year we started caring about movies.
I think you started caring about it first. Like, I remember you just talking about what movies were getting nominated and like that we should see like this or this movie. And I was like, okay, sure. And then
That might have been so. I mean, I remember the next year thinking, I do remember having a thought about like The Social Network when it got reviews, and I was like, oh, is this going to be an Oscar movie?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it must have been pretty early on, but it wasn't really ever completely inseparable from like just having movies on our radar that we were interested in watching.
Mm-hmm.
But then we first reacted to Oscars the year that American Sniper got nominated.
That was
I
not
think.
the first year. You
Yes, it
remember the
was.
video where we're in our dorm in high school, and I have like the little stuffed pig, and that was when Paul
That's the
Greengrass
first year
got
ever?
snubbed, and I gagged. That was the first year we recorded it. Well, no, because I remember caring.
Wait, that's 2013.
That was the first year we recorded, but I remember giving a lot of a shit when
I think
Ben
American
Affleck
Sniper
got
was
snubbed for
2014.
Argo, and I remember that director category. It gave me
Oh.
a lot of
Okay.
things to work through.
Yeah.
I still remember that.
Yeah.
So we actually have been reacting loudly since 2013 or 2012.
Okay. Interesting.
So yeah.
And then we just started like, well, I guess we started filming the early predictions, and then people were watching those, and then so
Yeah, that was like
we
the
figured
first-
out after like a couple of years that we'd post like one or two videos that people kind of wanted to watch like what we were posting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we started like doubling down on the Oscar content.
Wow.
Yeah, and in 2018 we started going hard on making Oscar content, but before that we would do like, I would get in front of like the green screen, and I would just like I wouldn't even be like me. I would just be like kind of like like a fake asshole who's just like yelling at you about like what's getting nominated and fuck you, and we did that like a couple of years in a row, and every time we posted that, which is like a May predictions, and I'm just being like incredibly confident and arrogant about it. That video would get over 1,000 views.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, like, you know, if you're one of the only things that comes up, even if you have a small channel, when people search it, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we just
Yeah,
did more Oscar stuff.
and the dislike bar was like further than the
Yeah.
likes, and people were still engaging with it, which is weird. So
Yeah, we used to, the dislike phase is over. We used to get like a decent amount of dislikes when we had like
on
100
like every video,
subscribers.
yeah.
Wow.
And that was the days of Darren Buckley, our biggest hater.
Because we didn't know how to be in front of camera, so we were just like being the way that we thought was funny to each other, and it was like it came across really arrogantly.
Yeah.
But we were just
Yeah.
like entertaining like each other and just kind of like fucking around.
And we did the Star is Born trailer reaction. We were like a little bit making fun of the movie, but like not
Yeah.
Not in a way where it was actually like we think the movie is going to be bad, like, but we just like to make fun of stuff, and
Yeah.
people thought we were like trashing the movie, and nobody liked it, but it got like more views than anything we'd done before.
Wow.
So,
That's crazy.
yeah.
I'm kind of like going backwards. I know we're past this, but I watched one of your like nomination reactions from when you lived in like a dorm, I could assume, because there were like a lot of other people there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, are you ever, because like even when I record at like my parents' house, I get self-conscious about like yelling or doing anything goofy, but I'm like, you guys are so comfortable like on camera and like also that early in the morning for nominations. I'm like, I'm just amazed at the energy you guys have. Is that ever like, I don't know, do you ever have to like do anything beforehand, or are you just like naturally super, you're just there?
I think it's like the contagiousness of having a twin.
okay.
A little bit. Like it makes you not afraid to be weird because your twin's like gonna just like keep you like going.
Yeah.
we
And they're gonna,
a
like, encourage
historical
it.
fact about us
What's this?
is that if one of us is being weird, it will absolutely be fueled and then amplified by the other person thinking it's funny. So
It's like you're both naturally improvisers just because you're twins.
yeah,
that's
I
actually
mean,
very
like
true,
the
yeah.
grocery, like, you know, when we're like teenagers, like we're like 19, 20 years old, it was like difficult. Like we'd goof off in the grocery store too much, and my mom would be like, "I can't believe you're doing this in the grocery store. You're 20." Because we're filming each other and shit.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So like my parents are they're aware of the oddness, and then you know eventually, I mean, it's weird. It's gotten to the point where like I'll like mention my channel like before I meet someone on a dating app, and they'll have seen videos of me being a fucko before they meet me for a first date. So it's like to the point where I really don't like I don't even care if like a stranger knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like how like or sees the weirdness.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like just become like no borders
Yeah.
between like knowing that fucking weird part.
It's like,
But, yeah.
I'm just like, you guys are the like the only reaction channel that I actually feel like satisfied when I watch the video, because you guys, I don't know, I'm always very entertained.
Because other ones like people nodding along slowly. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're like, okay, oh,
Which is
Kristen
like a
Stewart.
normal way to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when Kristen Stewart, you're just like
all
Yeah.
over the room. Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Are you guys at all into sports? I'm just because, like, I would say I've talked to a lot of friends about this, because I'm not at all into sports, but I look at the Oscars in the same kind of like fun, competitive way where I'm like, I understand what people get out of like the Super Bowl, because I'm like, this is
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
not to say like this is my Super Bowl, but I'm like, I just see the appeal. It's super fun.
I mean, if I like, I watched the Super Bowl with friends,
Mm-hmm.
and like I know the rules of football, so I was like able to get a little bit into it. But I like can't dig on anybody for liking sports, because the Oscars are, you know, you could make the argument that they're just as trivial or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I have no there's no reason to actually like be invested in that on that level with them.
But
So
no,
I get
yeah,
it.
but we don't watch sports or like really care.
Yeah.
So that's why like the Oscars, I agree. They like bring people like us like a little closer to understanding a sports fan, I guess, because it's like excitement for the sake
Yeah.
of being excited.
Yeah.
I think
Or
everybody,
like it's like hype. The more you hype yourself up about something that's like, you know, pretty dumb or like bound to upset you, like the more fun it is when it does upset you.
right.
Well, I think it's good. Like, a lot of people who are into like art shit are really they're like, oh, sports ball, like fuck, it's stupid. People caring about sports, but it's like you like cheered in a Marvel movie in the theater. Like everybody has to have something that they care a stupid amount about, and you know, I yeah, that's just what ours is.
Although I do think there probably is a large crossover in the Venn diagram between sports fans and people who like Marvel movies.
Probably.
Could
Yeah.
be. I think they should do like a
Yeah.
whole Marvel halftime show thing where they have it, but they don't. They even though they probably could get people like Tom Holland to actually go there, they get everybody to do like the blow up abs like Halloween suits, and they just have like really bad. Like they're marching around and like, dancing to like the Numa Numa or something like really stupid at the halftime show. That'd be really fun.
Wait, I have a question for you both. Like, how into Marvel are fratty people?
I can't speak on this because I was never in a frat.
But you may know.
Yeah, my brother was in a frat,
Your bro, yeah.
Oh,
but I was not in a frat. But I think that fratty people watch Marvel
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
Is the only thing I'll take away from that, is that meeting a lot of my brother's friends who are also
Yeah.
in frats, they seem like the people who, if they do go to the theater, that is why they would go.
yeah.
I would say
Yeah, I've met people like that.
like I think fratty people, that's the only time they would go to the theater. I would say, I don't know if they're like
Right.
fans, but that is definitely the only movie they've seen in the last 3 years at the AMC.
Yeah, I don't think that they're getting really deep into like all of the connection
Yeah.
between all the films. I think they just go for like the show of it. But I don't think that people in frats are generally going to see Portrait of a Lady on Fire in theaters.
You don't know that.
Oh, my fraternity is like they stand Celine Sciamma. They all wear like that shirt that just says Celine Sciamma.
Yeah.
That's like their whole thing.
You guys, speaking of French film, I guess this is my attempt at a segue. You guys went to Cannes, from what I understand.
I went to Cannes.
You went to Cannes.
He didn't go.
How
Yeah.
was that? I'm like, you went in person, I assume.
Yeah, and I hope I'm going back this year.
Hell yeah, that's amazing. I thought that was really cool. And I'm just like, I have watched like some of your non-Oscar related like reviews, kind of from like Cannes coverage and whatnot. And I'm just like, I honestly am like curious about like kind of what you guys' favorite. You've probably like made videos about this, but like, what are some of your favorite movies from the last year, rather than just like, best picture speculation?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Cannes, I had the same number one as you did last year. Teton.
Teton.
Big fan of that.
Wait, and the year before, aren't you like a big I'm Thinking of Ending Things fan?
Yeah, I was a big fan. I don't think it was my number one,
Yeah.
but it was like really high on that list.
Oh, but
Okay,
your number one was Marriage Story the year before.
Yep.
Correct?
Which was
Okay, so we shared that number one.
wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Identical
Same
taste. Yeah.
Also, worst person in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I watched your Cannes video before going to Cannes, so I had everything I needed to know about it right in my back pocket. And I watched it every day throughout the festival.
That's amazing.
Mass, Come On, those were like top movies.
Mm-hmm.
We liked Vortex a lot.
Okay.
Gasper knows
Oh, yeah.
Vortex.
Oh yeah, I thought you were saying something else, but
What
yeah,
else was in
Vortex is great.
The Father, Pig,
If that counts, yeah.
kind of for me.
Yeah, Pig for sure. What else is on my top 10? I mean, that was my
Licorice
top
Pizza
5's
was on
been
mine.
covered.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Summer of Soul, best doc of the year.
Oh yeah, Summer of Soul.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. That kind of stuff.
I like Saint Maud a lot too. That was
Nice.
a good one. I don't know if that counts for this year for some people, but
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. I'm like, is Judas and the Black Messiah a 2021 movie or 20?
it is.
20?
It definitely is.
Yeah.
It's just the Oscars confused people.
Yeah. Understood.
They actually got people to say that was a 2021 movie, which is really weird because it literally nobody had seen it in 2021.
Right.
You mean
Yeah.
2020. Yeah, the year before.
Yeah. Very weird. I was
Control the calendar.
yeah. I was gonna ask, just like, what do you guys, in light of? I know you guys made a whole video about this just recently about the category thing where they took away like, what was it, like 5 or 8 I forget the number.
8.
8. Damn. Yeah. I mean, like, what are your like quick thoughts on that? Slash, my takeaway from that was that they are trying to obviously get more people to watch the Oscars because they don't think people care about them, but I think those are completely irrelevant to why people aren't watching the Oscars. So I'm just like, do you think there'll be a point where like nobody cares about the Oscars to a point where they'll stop broadcasting them? Slash, do you like, what do you see for the future of the Oscars, basically?
I think even if there was a point where almost nobody cared, like I was saying before, I was impressed that the Oscars ratings are still higher than like the Bachelor finale. Like I think it'll still be worth it for them to have a show. Like they're gonna get like some millions of viewers. I mean, they might have to budget it down or something if people really aren't watching and they can't get the ad revenue. But
Yeah, I think it's gonna be some show.
yeah. Anyway, you have like a general thought about the. I saw something that I want to like. That I
Oh,
like,
go
right
ahead.
before going here. No, I have to read it. So you have to say something, and then I have to see if it's true.
Oh shit, I have to think about things. Yeah, I don't think they're like being existentially threatened yet. I mean, I'd have to see like a little bit more. I don't know. I'd have to see something else going on to think like, oh, they're not going to happen in the next 10 years. I just think they're going through like a phase or a crisis or kind of an identity crisis, where they recognize that the movies they're nominating, there's like a big gap between that and what people watch. And so their network is like, how do you get people interested in movies they haven't seen? And they can't figure it out yet.
That's yeah. I see a little bit more like enthusiasm for this year compared to last year. I don't know if you felt the same thing in the air, but last year I was really out of touch. And
Oh yeah, last year was dead. Like even people who were into movies weren't like hadn't seen the movies.
yeah.
Yeah.
My friend labeled like last year as like the B team, and this is kind of all the studios pushing out like the actual like big people.
Yeah, we're kind of back to normal in terms of like the level of like studio produced films that we're seeing in the lineup. I think pretty
Yeah.
much there again.
which is refreshing, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. It's not just like, yeah. I think last year it was very obvious from the crop that this was like the year of the pandemic.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
oh, do you have your?
Will Mavity said that he linked an article and said that they were gonna like tweet the winners that they pre-film before the show, and
Oh, really?
well, I couldn't find that in the article, so I don't know, but that would be like ridiculous if they did that.
They're gonna tweet them.
Yeah,
So-
I just wouldn't check Twitter. I guess.
Well, they're filming the 8 categories that they don't want to air live an hour before, and then editing them. So
into the show.
this was like, oh, they're gonna tweet the winner like before it's broadcast because it will be known. I mean, they might leak too,
That's
which would ruin
Right.
the fun on my part.
yeah.
They might walk it back,
They're
though.
pre-recording them, but they are still filming them with the audience there. Right?
Yeah. They're just like gonna
Yeah.
trim the hell out of it because they think nobody gives a shit. And what you were saying about like that, like they don't really, they're cutting things that like aren't actually gonna change the way that people like view the show. I agree. It's like they keep making moves to try to like based on what they think that the audience does and doesn't care about, but you know, in our video, we were talking about how we think that the Oscars could do so much to try to get people to care more about what they're watching and more about like the crafts instead of saying, well, you don't care about production design, so we're going to just skip through that. Like,
I think it's possible that people actually don't care about the crafts and they're like, these people getting awards who I've never seen before. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that if you're like the industry, if you're the industry and you're trying to celebrate like, the achievements, then like you got to make people care because it's really cool stuff. It's not like it's inherently boring.
Yeah.
but like they've also done it forever. Like they've presented these awards forever. And
Yeah.
every year that they had good watch amounts, they did
Yeah.
that.
It can't
So
be that
doesn't- I don't
people
know.
like suddenly don't want to see it. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you both made a good point about how the Oscars has become an award show for the niche people that watch all these films, but they're trying to broadcast it to like the mass public who have pretty much not watched any of these films because it's not like, you know, in the 70s where the films that everyone would go to a theater to watch are the films that are being nominated. It's not like everyone goes to watch Marvel films, which are only nominated for like best special effects, and no one cares about
Yeah.
that.
Exactly.
It's like you're not seeing, you know, Chris Pratt be nominated for best actor for, you
Jurassic
know,
World.
I was
talking
pissed
to a
against
fake
them.
raccoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of
Yeah.
yeah. So that's like a lot of where the conflict and the like self-hatred comes
Yeah.
from.
because no one's like watching Power of the Dog and who's just a guy drinking beers on his couch and is like tuning in to see if Benedict can pull through with the win.
Maybe he'll like recognize his own internal homophobia and have a breakdown. That's another thing is like with Power of the Dog and Nomadland potentially being the past two winners. I wonder if some people are going to be like, well, you know, I try to watch the Best Picture winner, and you know, the last 2 years they've been like a little slow, and you know, I just think you know, that could turn people off if they're like, oh,
Who are used to seeing like a Green Book win.
yeah, or even like Parasite,
Or a Trial of
and
Chicago
Shape
7.
of Water. Like a lot of the like recent winners are
Yeah.
more broadly entertaining, I guess you could say, than Nomadland and Power of the Dog. So
Yeah, Power of the Dog's like probably one of the most narrow recommendations I could make for a movie that might win Best Picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I see a lot of like the mass like the general public's opinion on where movies are at through my mom, because I'm like, she is kind of represents that person, and she's like,
yeah, I use my parents for that too.
yeah, she's just like, what happened to like the good Best Picture nominees? And I'm like, we have good Best Picture nominees, and she did really like Power of the Dog, but she's just like, looking back at 2019, she's like, there was like Parasite and Jojo Rabbit, and I think she said Knives Out, that did not get, or Knives Out, that wasn't even nominated. But I'm just like, she kind of has a point. Like, there was a lot of like, yeah, like you said, like fast paced, a little bit more like appealing to the general public as far as what was being nominated. But it's not that they're
it's funny
bad
because
movies.
like, yeah, I mean, I remember like when there are people who are like, what happened to, you know, like the 70s when all the movies nominated were like the stuff that publicly recognized and stuff that was recognized by the Oscars, and then you're like, oh, what about the 90s with like Braveheart and Titanic? And in a way, like, I've seen a lot of nostalgia for 2019, where it's like, oh, remember 2019? Like, people watched Joker and Marriage Story and Parasite and like 1917 and Ford v Ferrari. Like, that was the last like very normal year. And you know, then the pandemic hit, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the past 2 years have felt like the lineups are a little bit different. And I don't know how long that's going to take to rebound, because there's a lot of different factors that go into it. And I mean, now I'm thinking about how like, because of the results of the pandemic and like what people can expect movies to make now being so uncertain, like we might get less of these budgets thrown at movies that might normally be produced. But I don't know. I mean, Scorsese's
if you
got a
look at
$200 million movie.
this year's lineup for 2022, like we have a lot of, I think we're gonna have maybe an even more normal year, like more back to the larger budget dramas that a lot of people are engaged with. So
You mean next year?
yeah, or this year. Well, this year's movies for next year's Oscars.
Yeah, we already are predicting. We already have a list for next year. Ron Howard's 13 Lives, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Damn, Marry Me, big contender for next year.
Yeah, Jennifer Lopez redemption for her Hustler snub. That will drive her all the way to a Best Actress nomination.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that is weird, because I'm looking at like the nominations this year, and I feel like Dune is the biggest, like the one that overlaps the most with like audience reception. Like people actually saw Dune, but even that, I'm like, my mom did not see Dune, and she will never see Dune. She's like, that's not my kind of thing, and it's
Right. Who would which film would your mom pick for
Power of the
Best
Dog.
Picture?
She's like a huge Power of the Dog fan, which is really
Wow.
she loved it. My dad hated it, but it's because he fell asleep like 20 minutes in and was like, that was a little slow. But
Yeah.
I think my mom would be Coda and then King Richard.
that's See,
I knew she was gonna love those movies, and she really liked them both.
my mom
Yeah.
hasn't seen King Richard yet. I know she's gonna love that a lot.
Yeah, so there's a lot.
Right. Yeah, my mom definitely would pick Tick Tick Boom.
which is not.
I keep recommending it, but it's not even nominated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. That's not gonna matter to her. She's not gonna watch the Oscars. I can just tell her if Tick Tick Boom won. She'd be like, great. She'd be happy.
I've been trying to get my mom to watch Tick Tick Boom, and then I got her to watch In the Heights, and she liked. I mean, she's going to like Tick Tick Boom. She liked In the Heights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, King Richard, like that's a
Yeah.
movie that in 2019 that might have made a lot of money, and it would have been like, oh, that movie made a lot of money and the public recognized it. But like this year, that's a off the radar. Like this year, King Richard is an off the radar movie, which is so weird.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of really good, like, films that are really good recommendations for anybody who's just kind of interested in checking out the nominees that they just happen to not be that recognizable, but
Yeah.
not for any lack of, like, the movie being appealing.
Yeah. We just watched Nightmare Alley. Speaking of Tick Tick Boom, and I think having watched it, it makes a little bit more sense in my opinion that getting a Best Picture nom over Tick Tick Boom, even though I was equally as shocked. I feel like on that because I really thought Tick Tick Boom had a chance, but yeah.
Oh yeah, me
I
too.
kind of
was
liked
like,
Nightmare
why wouldn't
Alley.
They nominate this.
Yeah.
I like Nightmare Alley too. I think it was. I mean, I don't know if I thought it was as good as like Shape of Water, but I don't get why it's so divisive for people. Like, it kind of tells you what it's going for like a few times. I mean, I watched it. I watched the first like 30 minutes. I might finish it again, but I was like, why were people so confused about like the intentions of the movie? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand that part.
Yeah.
I want to kind of drift into prediction territory. Even we're not gonna obviously predict everything, but I'm just like curious about you guys' like updated like current predictions for a few categories. Slash like what you want. I like Best Picture. I think we can all agree like Power of the Dog is obviously gonna get it. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Is that you guys' pick as well, or?
Yeah, it has like everything going for it right now, including stats. Like it has all the major stats. It's the only movie that's hit like all the huge correlative stats, like getting a DGA nomination and getting an editing nomination, possibly winning a screenplay or director award. Like it has every box checked.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's the only one.
Yeah.
Yep.
As far as Best Actor goes, I'm kind of curious of like both you guys' pick and prediction and Jeff's as someone who's a little bit more out of touch, because there's one person in there that I've been like, yeah, he's gonna get it this whole time, and I feel like as of recent I don't feel as confident about it. Obviously Will Smith. But I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, Will Smith.
Wait, let
Well,
Jeff
Andrew
start off.
Garfield sings a lot.
Yeah.
He does sing a lot.
Andrew Garfield, everyone
Yeah.
loves the pipes. But I feel like that's he's not gonna win,
You never know.
right?
Yeah.
No, he's not gonna win.
Okay. Yep. That's what I thought.
There's maybe like a small chance
Right.
if Tick Tick Boom was more liked and if it got nominated for Best Picture, but I don't think.
Yeah, if it got nominated for more awards, I think. But
Right.
I think it's gonna be Will Smith or Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be one of the two, and we're wondering how good Benedict Cumberbatch's odds actually are, because critics seems like the clear favorite, and Power of the Dog has been doing so well that I expect it to win an acting award somewhere, and I actually don't know like whether it would be him or Cody Smith McPhee or both or maybe neither, but probably one of them.
Well, it wouldn't have to. I mean, like
It doesn't have to,
The
but
Shape
like
of Water and Birdman. Like
no,
that.
it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. But it's just my hunch that it would win an acting award.
Well, yeah, I agree, and I feel like
Also, what movie with 4 acting nominations didn't win an acting award?
American Hustle.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, that's a good point. But usually, if you
amazing
have
that
4
you just pulled
nominations,
that
it's
out.
someone. I think.
Yeah.
Got too many facts.
But I think because Will Smith has been the narrative, like even before, like the fall festivals, even before it came out, that he was gonna like steal the Oscar, and then he would like when people saw the movie and he's like really really good in it, and I don't know. I mean, it's we don't know how like compelled they're gonna be by the narrative to like finally give Will Smith his Oscar, or if they'll just kind of throw it out the window like they've done a couple times where we can see like a really strong narrative shaping for somebody, and then they'll just be like, well, Anthony Hopkins, like
Yeah.
instead of Chadwick Boseman.
Wasn't
and
he
they don't
supposed
really
to
care.
like have a comedy stand-up set, or like a book deal go
Who?
through? Will Smith. He wasn't.
He has like a
wasn't he
Netflix
here?
special and a book
But like,
deal.
where is it? Like, are
I don't know.
they gonna throw that wait, what if Netflix is like, we want Benedict to win. We're not going to put your fucking special on. Wait, is it even a Netflix
No,
special?
that wouldn't happen.
You don't
I have
know.
no idea. I have
You
no
do not
idea.
know. But yeah, I mean, I think Benedict
conspiracy
could pull a what is called an Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
What is
in,
now
in,
called?
in potentially winning BAFTA and Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if the Critics' Choice could go towards him. I mean, it's clear from the critics groups that people who love Power of the Dog are also awarding Benedict. And if the Oscars are going to embrace Power of the Dog, I don't know.
Was
It's
there
kind of a, I don't know. I view it more as a coin toss than other people. Some people still think Will Smith just has it.
I'm thinking back to the Best Actress win like 2 years ago with Olivia Colman, and did she? Because that was like a crazy surprise. But like, did you guys see her? Was she like winning a lot before the Oscars? Like, was there any sort of momentum there? That
She won the BAFTA, which was
okay?
big, and she won the Golden Globe comedy.
Yeah.
Which, doesn't really mean that much.
Right.
Yeah, the problem was like, I mean, the part of what was surprising was Lady Gaga was the front runner that year when Star is Born came out, which came out earlier than most of the nominees.
Yeah.
And then people were speculating she could win. And then Glenn Close and The Wife, this was like, well, if you're going to nominate her for like the fucking whatever 7th time, like you may as well give her the Oscar already.
Yeah.
And then she actually started picking up the awards. So like this was really taking hold. And so that's why people thought like, it was Lady Gaga and then it was Glenn Close. And then like Olivia Colman wasn't even on people's radar that much until she won the BAFTA.
Yeah.
And she's not even like, I mean, she's arguably not the lead in that movie too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was
She
a
has less
really
screen time than Emma
weird,
Stone.
it was a really weird win.
Well, it's also, I think a lot of it was because Glenn Close was in a movie that people were just voting for Glenn Close to vote for Glenn Close, and only like half of them had seen the movie.
Yeah.
And The Favorite was nominated across the board,
Mhm.
and I think that definitely was a factor.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was, very unpredictable.
Totally.
Yeah,
But
so
BAFTA can call some of the last minute like changes in momentum,
Mhm.
or not, or they'll just be like, "Oh, you just gave it to a British person because that's what you do."
That's fair. Benedict Cumberbatch. He's British, right? Okay.
Yeah,
correct, yeah.
Name like that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go full Benedict Cumberbatch going into Oscar night because I just feel like that's the kind of like switch they'll make. Even though because Will Smith's never won an Oscar, right? I feel like that's
No.
Yeah, he hasn't
another
won an
thing he's
Oscar.
got going for him, and he's Will Smith.
That's a huge thing he's got going
Yeah.
for him, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, people haven't been like that hasn't always played out where we need to give them an Oscar.
Mhm.
We gave Frances McDormand her 3rd Oscar rather than giving Viola
Yeah.
Davis the lead actress Oscar or Carey Mulligan, who doesn't have any Oscars. Like, so I don't think they don't seem to vote on that.
Speaking of, I was really surprised when Frances McDormand didn't get any nomination this year. I feel like when Tragedy Macbeth was originally kind of like announced, I was like, oh, that's an obvious. Both of them are getting nominated.
Oh yeah.
But then I feel like I was following Gold Derby and she was just not really a part of the conversation for a while. Which I don't know. I thought that was like kind of surprising. And I think it's maybe because she's
She-
won so much that maybe it's just time to put it away.
She didn't want to win. She
Yeah.
didn't want to be nominated this year. Like she actively was like, stop. Like 'cause I remember in 2017 with 3 Billboards, there was some speech that she got.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was like an Indie Spirit or like a Critics' Choice or something, but she was like, she said something like, give it. Like she was implying like give it to somebody else, like
Yeah.
for God's sakes, like I already have this recognition, like someone else could use it.
Yeah.
And then that's when she won a second time.
Yeah.
So like I don't think she wants to win. She keep winning. Like she didn't, campaign for it. It was also tricky because it was sort of like a lead supporting. And
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's probably
yeah.
why Gold Derby didn't have her like high up early on because I feel like they would have because they didn't know whether she was lead or supporting.
Yeah.
But when I saw the movie, I was like, I don't think she's gonna get nominated for that. Especially if she's in lead, which they did put her in lead. Then I was like, I don't think she has a chance
Gotcha.
because I just don't think it was like exciting enough to like take hold. I mean, she's good in everything she's in, but that was more like Denzel Washington's show.
Yeah.
And I think it is at this point. It's like give it to someone else.
Yeah. Interesting. Last one. I promise this will be the end of this, but I'm just best actress. I feel like is the toughest one for me to predict. I could go anywhere. Part of me is like rooting for Kristen Stewart again to win, even though I didn't think she'd get nominated, but I'm like, there is. I thought, like, when I first saw Spencer, I was like, yeah, she's got it in the bag. But a lot of people hate her performance, and I'm just, so yeah, I don't know. But what are you guys' thoughts? Also, Jeff, what are your predictions?
Could go a lot of directions. Let's hear from Jeff first, though.
Jeff's.
So I'm gonna be honest. I have not seen any of the films
That's
this
fair.
category.
That's fair.
Well,
Your
what's
take
prediction?
means just as much as mine, to be honest.
Yeah, it's unbiased.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go Nicole Kidman.
Do you think? I mean,
Safe.
maybe.
Actually, though, yeah, that's a good pick.
Being the Ricardos is the only one that I'm really like planning to not see. I really don't want to sit through Being the Ricardos.
Yeah, I didn't want to see it either, and I was like hoping I'd be pleasantly surprised, and it was fine. Like, it was sort of breezy, but it was like the most underwhelming Sorkin film I've seen.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm not really like rooting for that movie overall.
Yeah.
Like I guess I wouldn't hate if she won because she was good,
Mhm.
but
It wasn't a performance that I wanted to give an Oscar to, though.
no.
I think if you want Kristen Stewart to win, you have to root for as much chaos as possible, which means Lady Gaga taking the SAG or the Critics' Choice Award. Like, that's what you need to root for.
Yeah, because then it shows like there's no one else that is being competitive, like is super competitive right now.
Yeah.
And so it's anyone's game, and then maybe that's where Kristen Stewart could win.
I mean, it might not be anyone's game. Like, there's a chance that it's just Nicole Kidman's and she just starts winning everything.
Yeah.
And
I was impressed with the Oscars taste this year, though, which gives me a little bit of hope for Kristen Stewart. Although they didn't nominate Spencer.
yeah, but they
anywhere else.
nominated J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
So they,
I don't know.
which was like pretty unnecessary.
Yeah, that was
And Javier Bardem, which didn't.
that was very unnecessary.
But yeah. So I don't know. I think
that
I
it
might
could
be in
it could
denial.
really go like a lot of directions.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's just going to be so much vote splitting. Like, how do you like predict when everyone's going to get like their 20% of
Yeah.
the share? Like, it's so.
I mean,
I don't think I'm going to get it right.
looking at the nominees again, I think I'm feeling good about Jessica Chastain, even though I haven't seen that movie. It just feels like, I mean, that got one other nomination, but I'm like, I feel like Best Actress usually goes to a movie that does not have like anything at the Oscars.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
and that
it's
feels
so,
like
it's
that movie.
so baity.
Which I guess
It feels like that movie, and I don't understand why she's not the front runner. Actually,
Spencer is also technically that movie because it's really like
True.
doesn't have shit, but it's not.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a
someone
good
pointed
movie.
out though that like when you are the lone nominee or when your movie has like makeup
Mm-hmm.
outside of actress and that's it. Usually if you're winning, you're heavily competitive.
Mm-hmm.
like you're sweeping.
Like you're sweeping, you're winning all the awards, like Julianne Moore or Renee Zellweger. And It's
Mm-hmm.
just obvious. So Kristen Stewart and Jessica Chastain, we can't tell if they're like heavily like competitive or if they're just kind of like happy to be in the lineup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm? What?
What? Why are you confused?
That didn't seem to make sense to me.
It sure
but I don't
did.
know why it doesn't make sense.
It sure did.
Did you guys see The Eyes of Tammy Faye / is it worth watching? Because I was kind of
I actually liked it like
I kinda
a
wanna
decent
watch it.
amount.
okay. Cool.
Yeah,
It's-
you should watch it because like Jessica, if you're curious about Jessica Chastain's performance in the movie, she's like, she's just. I think it's like her best performance. She's amazing in it.
Cool.
So I would recommend it. It was like a really fun watch, and it was like a little bit moving.
Okay.
I think people are too hard on it.
It has a good ending.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
It was
it's
really
a little
good.
bit of a biopic, but there were things about it I liked a lot. Like, yeah, I was a fan of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Noted. I'll watch that before Being the Ricardos.
Yeah, I liked it better than that.
We have a few questions from both our Patreon and subreddit. If you guys are cool, just a quick bunch that we can slide through. This first one comes from Cyhots9292, and it was, what was your favorite surprise on Oscar morning? Mine was Jessie Buckley, which was also my favorite surprise. Because I did not see that coming at all. But what about you guys?
We know what his was.
I freaked out a lot when the worst person in the world got in screenplay.
Totally.
I partly thought like, oh my god, like are they gonna nominate an actress in picture? Oh my god,
Yeah.
which added to the excitement. But it's still like, I will take the screenplay nomination. I was very happy with that. I did love Jessie Buckley too. That was fantastic.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm gonna go with Kristen Stewart because like I'm just glad we don't live in the world where she didn't get nominated for that movie and then we talk about it for like the next decade, like about the injustice that it was. So
Yeah.
the morning would have been really different for everybody if she didn't get nominated.
Definitely. Yeah. I would argue, yeah, it's like just as great to see Kristen Stewart get nominated as it is to see Lady Gaga not get nominated for House of Gucci. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
And Jared
That
Leto.
was nuts that they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, and Jared Leto, yeah.
I was so afraid of House of Gucci doing well. Like people were starting to predict it for picture.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would have been people would have enjoyed my reaction if House of Gucci did extremely well, but I would have been very upset.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So-
Like when they first posted that like picture of Adam Driver and Lady Gaga, it like looked something about just that picture. I was like, this looks like a Best Picture nominee. Like this is gonna do so well.
Oh, we were predicting it all year.
Yeah.
I think they could have just pretended that the movie came out, like just kept that picture.
Yeah.
And people would have still nominated like the movie
Yeah.
just because of what they like being excited for it. They're like, oh, this movie's gonna come out, right? Like, and then it just doesn't.
And the
Or
trailer.
maybe they release it like after voting ends.
Yeah. It was just a slow collapse for that movie.
No, the second trailer like was also a bop.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like, it was
bop?
looking good. Yeah.
Really? I never thought the trailers looked good.
It looked,
Well, they had like they made it look campy and fun.
yeah, it looked dumb and fun and like kind of, I don't know, cheesy. But I was immediately like, this has no chance. I don't see this going very far. But
Yeah, we should have known when it was like when it had like the title cards that were like betrayal, lust, sex, like all that stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should have known, I think.
Jeff, did you have any surprises Oscar morning or?
Yeah, so I absolutely did not look at anything Oscar morning about the Oscars. I did the only surprise I had was that I saw later on that French Dispatch did not really get anything.
That was a
little
surprise.
So that was the only surprise because that was the only
Yeah.
thing I saw. No, I wouldn't say that's the best surprise because I didn't
Yeah.
like that movie.
Yeah, fuck that movie's production design.
This next one comes from Taylor, aka What Would You Do If When You Okay So He Said Yes Would Go. That's their username. It's what's your favorite number? What's you guys' favorite?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this one on air.
You got a dirty mind, man.
What about? Yeah. Anybody want to take a stab?
I'm gonna go
6.
6.
Any? Okay. All right.
94 for the upcoming 94th Academy Awards ceremony.
Wow.
I'm gonna go 64. It's like a nice, like, solid. I don't know, something about it. I like 8 times 8. I like that. You know.
64 is
64.
like, that's like the number that whenever, if you're in first grade and you're like, I'm thinking of a number 1 through 100, it's
Always 64. It's like 64
Is it?
Yeah.
or 72.
It's like the default number.
Yeah.
72
Yeah, or
is a
like
good one too.
2.
That's
Yeah.
definitely
Just to
a
mess with
contender.
everyone.
I think I would like to do a slight variation that is perhaps just as agreeable, but 68.
Okay.
That's a nice one too.
Why 68?
Each number is
Yeah.
even. It's I don't know. I actually don't know how like divisible it is by stuff. Probably not as much as 64.
Deceptively not divisible
Aesthetically,
by
it's a
stuff.
good number.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
going by aesthetics.
Like 68 would win best production
Yeah.
design.
Yeah, it wouldn't quite pull off the best picture,
No.
but
Yeah, not quite. I mean,
couple
that's
texts.
17.
I don't
We
know
all
about
know.
17.
17.
17's not.
Well, no, because 17's like original. It's kind of avant-garde.
I like 36, to be honest. because it's like 3, 6.
I mean,
There's something off balance.
9 times
I don't know.
4.
36.
36 is kind of like
Yeah.
the Joker of numbers.
99 is like an asshole. Like he's just
Fuck that
like
guy.
Oh, yeah.
dangerously close to 100. Like you got to stay away
Yeah.
from him.
I think we can all agree
Yeah,
that 3
99
is
is like they're saying their favorite film is Fight Club, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. They have a Joker poster in their room.
Yeah.
like they have the potential to be like a good Letterboxd film person, but
Yeah.
they're just like stuck watching like the Joker and Fight Club.
Yeah, that you just see they review it every day. Joker, a new review.
I mean, the basics 1 through 10 though, like
Yeah.
can't really go wrong.
Can't go
there.
wrong. The Forrest Gump of numbers. Well, I don't know about that. Never mind. Yeah,
That's
no,
your
I was just
go-to
like
of the
the
film
most
you can't go wrong with.
accessible. That's the first thing I thought
Crowd
of.
pleasing.
You're like everyone knows
Every
the
no-
best film.
They all
ever.
know 1, 2,
Babies
3,
are
4, 5.
familiar.
Yeah, babies are familiar. This next one comes from Gavin Gibson, and it's: do you have a favorite music video? I'm curious. Like, do you guys pay attention to music videos?
Do you have one?
Music videos? Not really, honestly. No.
I feel like I have one buried, but I just haven't watched it in a while.
Yeah. I don't know why I asked, 'cause I don't have an answer myself.
Actually, you know what? I have one.
Yeah.
If this counts, but the Minivan Highway sketch on Tim and Eric.
I don't
Wait.
know what you're talking about,
It-
but
Wait, if you're gonna go there,
Well,
then
it's like
then-
1 minute. It's a 1 minute YouTube
Okay.
Google search.
Wait, if you're gonna go there, then all my favorite music videos are directed by Eric Wareheim.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
Wishes by Beach House, great. The Parisian Goldfish by Flying Lotus one.
Okay.
Remember that one where they
He's-
just get naked and fuck? Like that's.
Oh, yeah.
he directs
yeah.
those videos?
He's directed some music videos and they're like really funny.
Wow.
And like very odd. They're fantastic.
I had no idea. That's amazing. I've probably seen the Flying Lotus one, but
Oh, and the Pon de Fleur by whatever. Yeah.
Oh,
Major
man.
Laser.
Yeah, that's great.
That one's a classic.
damn. Cool. That's a good answer for this question. I think that's gonna do though. That's all the questions we got.
Well, I actually do have
All
one
right.
more question for the Oscar expert.
Singular.
Let's hear it.
Who is the best Oscar?
That's
You have the nominees are Oscar Wilde, Oscar from Sesame Street that lives in that trash can, Oscar Isaac, and Oscar De La Hoya.
I think it's a tough one between Grouch and Isaac.
yeah,
I might have to say Grouch because he was like the OG Oscar to me.
definitely
Like
Yeah.
whenever I heard someone's name that was Oscar, I would think of the Grouch.
right.
Uh,
I mean, that makes sense because that's actually who Oscar Isaac was named after.
Really? Well, wait. I mean, Sesame Street's like older than Oscar Isaac, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the
Right.
logic checks out
It might be.
perfectly.
Well, look, like Oscar the Grouch taught us.
I think the
To not
Oscar the
be-
Grouch was the first Oscar.
Oscar
And the
Grouch,
Oscars are named after Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah.
also.
It taught us about self-esteem, where somebody thinks that they
Yep.
deserve to live in the garbage.
Yeah.
And they're taking out their frustrations by being a crabby old curmudgeon. And
Yeah.
it teaches us not to be like that. That's why we've grown up in a generation that isn't the Ebenezer Scrooge. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's. It really shaped who we are, I think.
That was beautiful.
What is Oscar
Wow,
Isaac?
that was
that's a
really
good
great.
acceptance speech.
What did? Yeah.
Cool. Well, on that note, that's gonna wrap things up for this podcast. Do you guys have any like other like closing notes on the Academy or anything moving forward, or no?
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Wow.
If you could give an Oscar to any of the posters on your wall, which one would get it and why?
I'd give it to that cow. I don't know if you can see the cow one behind me, but
Oh yeah.
it's a cow within a cow. But it's like spots are other cows, and then the spots on that
Cowception.
cow. Yeah, yeah. I think that's literally what it was called. But that one definitely would get the Oscar. The other one,
I
on top of that,
did
I
mention
painted
too.
myself, and I can't say that. Can't give
Oh, I
myself
wish
the
it wasn't
Oscar.
pixelated so I could screenshot it
Oh yeah. Sell it as an
and
NFT.
make it my profile picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've done
Yeah.
that.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. It was a pleasure. I'm looking forward to your Oscar stream. Do you guys have anything to plug before you head out?
The channel.
The Oscar expert on YouTube.
Yeah, the Oscar expert on YouTube.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, you guys can check them out on YouTube. Jeff, do you have anything else to say? Before Jeff says anything, I just wanted to do our usual wrap up because we didn't do it with the Oscar experts. First off, the movie for next week is going to be Free Guy. It's on HBO Max. You guys should check it out. I heard it's bad, but it should probably be a fun episode. Second off, we like to read a review to encourage you guys to leave reviews because we love hearing what you guys have to say about the podcast, unless it's negative. In that case, do not send in a review. This review comes from Sakari in Canada. Subject line is, Carson is a silly goose, 5 stars, and it reads, Carson is a silly goose. Jeff is cool. Funny movie podcast. Go Burr. So thank you, Sakari, for that lovely review. And lastly, we just want to thank the patrons over at patreon.com/Carscast. Even though I planned to record this, I did not pull up the patrons on Patreon. But in the meantime, I'll just list off some of the cool perks. You can get exclusive bonus episodes twice a month, Q&As, where you get your question answered in these real episodes. You may have noticed that in today's episode, we had some patron questions, and that's one of the cool perks. And some of the others include shout outs at the end of every episode, which I'm about to do as soon as I log into the Patreon account, and Zoom Hangouts that we do every month. What was my password? That we just did one, and it was really fun. Oh my god, I have to verify this device in my email. Give me one. We just did a Zoom Hangout in yesterday, and we played GeoGuessr, and we talked about Batman, and it was a really good time. Oh my god, it was the other email. This is hilarious. Anyway, if you have been looking for a reason to join the Patreon, if over these last few years you've been like, I just don't know if I should, bite the bullet, become a patron. Oh my god, what was the password to my other email? Should I just re-record this? Just please let me in. I'm definitely keeping this. Now is a great time to do it. Literally, what was it? I'm not gonna spell it out loud. No, I'm not on the page. I'm just gonna go on my phone. Now is a good time to. Oh my god, it's logged out on my phone too. Oh wait, thank God for Face ID. What? Oh god. Anyways, I'm just gonna cut this. I have to figure out my password. Okay, figured out my password. I actually reset a whole new password. Anyway, thank you. Alex Thomas, Anson Contreras, Blake Root, Camilla, Coop, David Sir, Eden, Eli, Brow, Finn Richardson, Gavin Gibson, Goodnight Tail, Grant Gow, Harry Remedy Nakis, Jaden Easton, John Van Hout, Judith, KDT, Let's Change the Google search results for PTA, Liv Rob, Lou Hattie, Luke Warren, Maddie Robertson, Martin Deff, Marilee Borslow, Meridian, Monopoly Shrimp on the Barbie, Monroe Page, Nathan Worley, Nora B, Owen Felton, Riley Ost, Stella Perry, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, Smitty Warbin, Jaggerman, Jensen, Taylor, aka What Would You Do If When You Okay So He Said Yes Would Go, The Raccoon from Airbud, 7th Inning Fetch, Tom Likes Beans, Vanguard Strom, Wes Kinley, Wiley Todd, Xavier Fosier, Yusuf A, Zoinks, Zoe Hernandez McDonald, and ZZZ. Sorry, I'm finally getting a good night's sleep thanks to GeoSleeper. Thanks, everybody. Anyways, back to the podcast.
I do not Carson Runquist.
Really? You don't have the closing to say?
Like the thing. I
Yeah,
say at the end of the
you
episode
say
for some
every
reason.
day.
Yeah. All right. Catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.
I like that.
Cool.